Hello and welcome to my channel. This is going to be a video response to my most recent video. Uh, Wax and wane, right and left side lit, not top and bottom. Alright, from Mitchell. I don't disagree with your findings on seeing the moon lit and move in ways we shouldn't be able to move or be illuminated. I just wonder why the stars and constellations and messier objects all look to be in their proper locations. It seems to me if we had tilted on our side, the stars and other objects would be in the right places and visible in the same way we've always looked. The only object that seems to be out of place and doing strange things is the moon and the planets and the sun. The planets aren't where they should be in the sky, and the sun seems to be out of place as well, but the stars and constellations and objects are spot on. This is just what I've observed. I've lived in the same house for 22 years, and the stars are still in their proper place along their proper time. The North Pole Polaris has been on top of the telephone pole across my street every night for 22 years, hasn't moved a degree. Right, some of that is unexplained, like Polaris is in the correct location. Well, just for seasonal precession of the Earth, which is a total of 46 degrees in 1 year, how does the North Pole still stay there? And that's 46 degrees. So somehow, even though the Earth is tilted on its side, they're still there. Now, as for circumpolar stars, they are still doing, as you can see, what they've always done. But when it comes to equatorial constellations, they are doing a little bit different thing. Stars, but what I've got pictures here is I've got Jupiter rolling just like the moon is. This is 8 p.m. Jupiter with two of its moons visible. 4 hours later, they've moved 90 degrees. Another night, he captured... Oh, that's not the right one I want. Another night, he captured it again. Going clockwise from Darwin, Australia. So you're right on that. Now, the other thing is, the yellow dashed line is the ecliptic plane. Where, in fact, I just downloaded this picture here. The ecliptic plane, which is essentially the equator of the sun, the magnetic sheet. Obviously, they're essentially on that plane. The plane is wide, so how can we have the ecliptic plane up at the northern regions of the sky if we haven't tilted over? And that's more for everybody, not just you, Mitchell. And I know I'm not really answering your question very well about the constellations because I've been sticking to the moon, and the moon's the easiest thing to see because everyone can see it. Planets are harder to see. You've got to have equipment. But they're doing it too. And as you can see from this one, well, here's the moon in here. The planets are going over top of our head instead of floating along the horizon. There is another way. From another screenshot I took. This is from a while ago. The other confirmation is the zodiacs are vertical as well, instead of along the horizon. Now, 23-degree tilt, I know. Okay, I know. But that doesn't mean the planets should be going over our heads. And the zodiac constellations shouldn't be going over our heads. Where is it? Right? Ecliptic plane. Why is it vertical from our perception? It shouldn't be. The moon tells us. The planets tell us. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out, guys. Everything is telling us. Alrighty? I hope that helps. The constellation wise, I personally haven't observed the constellations. Many people are saying like Orion is since it's essentially an equatorial constellation, it's doing the same thing. It's just not something I've witnessed or paid attention to. What I did pay attention to about Orion, and that does fall with your question, is I saw Orion all summer. Every morning when I walked out my door to go to work, I could see Orion in the southern sky. Now from May to July, I should not have been able to see Orion at night. It's on the wrong side of the sun from Earth's position. So I would have had to look through the sun to see Orion. So your constellations aren't correct. I'm being told that Southern Star or Southern Cross is visible from the northern hemisphere currently, but I have not witnessed that myself. But it's from a trusted source, obviously, or I wouldn't be repeating it. So if you're looking for something to find out, if you live, well, it doesn't matter where you live, but you could look for the Southern Cross in the northern hemisphere, which shouldn't happen. You could also start looking for constellations like Orion should not be visible from May to June, and yet I saw it every morning. Constellations like that, we're coming into winter in the northern hemisphere, summer in the southern hemisphere, so look for those constellations that we should not be seeing right now, and that'll be maybe a good indicator for you that things have changed. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with the moon, the Earth on its side, because that has everything to do with the Earth's orbit around the sun. So that's just another thing that we're trying to work on. The zodiac constellation seems to be correct for, I believe we're still in Virgo. We've probably moved on to the next one. I haven't looked at it in a few weeks. But anyways, Orion shouldn't have been visible, should not have been visible, even though I did see it every morning when I walked out at 5 a.m. over the summer. So there's lots of little things that we are seeing, but we don't necessarily always have explanations for. So anyways, I also wanted to get those Jupiter pictures out again for people to see, because it's not just the moon. The sun is doing it too, if you could watch the sunspots, but those aren't happening very much right now. So yeah, equatorial constellations and objects, planets, sun, stars, are all cartwheeling. Your circumpolar stars are still doing what they've been doing. All right, laters.